I have the pleasure of introducing Shrutee Gondha. I believe that's how I pronounce your last name. Sorry if not Shrutee. But let's go ahead and get started. So Shrutee has 10 years of experience in innovation and user research. At Behr, she's responsible for ideation, new concept generation, and user testing in order to help advance innovation and new product development. Her passion has been connecting the organization with real people via lean research efforts and design thinking principles. Prior to Behr, Shrutee worked with a number of startups, CVS and AAA. So go ahead and take it away, Shrutee.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Happy to present to you how our research best practices have kind of shifted during COVID and some lessons learned over the past 6 months. So a little bit of background about me. I have a hybrid background in economics and finance, and then I transitioned into design strategy, design thinking, and innovation most recently. I am currently responsible for ideation, new concept generation, user testing, user research, helping kind of with the front end of innovation at Behr. And a little bit about Behr, we are a division of Masco, and specifically serving DIYers and the pro consumer in architectural coatings paint. So those of you that do not know of Behr, we also house the brands Kills, which is most common for primer, and Magnolia Home by Joanna Gaines, which is popular for their chalk paints and aerosols. And we're based in Southern California. We've been around since 1947, so pretty mature company. My team focuses on the front end of innovation and then also new product development. And we come from diverse backgrounds, so spanning from design thinking, industrial design, chemistry, product management, and we're a really kind of small, lean group that is responsible for innovation at Behr. So today I'm going to be talking about some use cases and how we've adapted our practices in ethnography, one-on-one interviews, ideation, concept testing, and then just some tips of how we've been able to kind of make this shift pretty fluidly and dynamically, and what's worked for our team. So traditionally, we actually in March, right before the pandemic hit, have been doing traditional ethnography, so home visits across the US. We also do some demo desks at our headquarters with colleagues, coworkers, design students, you name it. For in-person visits, ethnography can be kind of expensive. It can be time consuming with the planning and recruiting. And there's hours of video and transcripts you have to sift through after. Sharing videos can be kind of tedious with file sizes, etc. And during the pandemic, we discovered a couple mobile ethnography tools that have really worked for us. We actually ended up completing 4 projects, reaching 204 DIYers over the course of about a month. We were under budget. And it was just very easy sharing that digitized data. Short video clips were easily inserted into presentations to present to our product teams, our R&D teams, our brand teams. We went through as a team, watched the videos collectively over Zoom and Microsoft Teams, and extracted insights from those interviews, which later led to ideation for new product ideas and ultimately prototyping and product development. And then we also are planning on putting a machine learning overlay to see if we can extract any other whys or any other patterns across the 204 interviews. So we've used tools like Instapanel, user interviews, Dscout, and that's kind of been a really big shift for us in terms of ethnography and being more efficient, saving costs, saving time, and just being able to interact with our end users and reach people across the US. So paint is a very unique product where it performs differently in different parts of the US, where the weather is different, where the humidity is different. And for us, being based in California, where we don't really get any weather, it's really valuable to be able to talk to real people and see kind of what they're experiencing, what they're experiencing with our products, with our competitive products. And on video, we really get to see their experience and understand firsthand as they're showing us around their homes and showing us, pointing to a crack in their wall or whatever it may be. Some lessons learned for us, as we are a paint company, so there's some visual limitations. We've seen color on walls is something that we really can't rely on video for. We've used other means of research for that. So depending on what product or service you're offering, mobile ethnography might work for you, might not. And then obviously we've set some expectations with our viewers when we're presenting our videos back to our executive teams, R&D, product, marketing, that these are just everyday people. So level setting expectations that these aren't professional videos, they're just mobile videos. We've also had some shifts in our one-on-one interviews. We really wanted to stay on pulse with our consumers, especially during this time when DIY home projects really were on the rise while everyone was kind of hunkered down at home. So we had this influx of demand for one-on-one phone interviews, kind of when everyone was getting situated in a work from home situation, getting hooked up with IT, having one-on-one phone calls and being able to kind of disperse that across the organization, inviting new teams to listen in on these phone calls while everyone was adjusting to work from home was really kind of a win for us. Looking back at my calendar, I saw we did 5 projects over the course of 5 weeks, and just having daily conversations with our end users and being able to share those insights with other departments that typically wouldn't listen in on these conversations was really a win for us. And we used Zoom, Skype, Microsoft Teams, user interviews and user testing to find our end users and find our target. Some lessons that we learned, obviously to email chat, video chat, whatever it may be, with your end users as much as possible, especially during this time when behaviors are shifting pretty drastically. And then obviously inviting people that you wouldn't normally invite to listen in on these conversations to kind of spread the word and connect others with the end user. We also had some shifts in our front end ideation and insight gathering practice. So typically our traditional kind of way of holding ideations, we'd have in-person multi-hour sessions in large spaces at headquarters. We'd break out into teams and obviously have food and fuel and breaks and things that, we're kind of always used to. Sometimes we would have inspiration from tangible objects, and we'd also bring in our consumers, real consumers, in to ideate with us. So it was a bit of a shift moving all of this and figuring out a way to achieve the same results while we're all at home and kind of in our own bubbles. So what we did was we found a couple different mind mapping tools that we used to kind of not only reach more people, but introduce a way that we can collaborate in real time and kind of replicate those brainstorming sessions. So we split up the sessions into 1 hour long sessions across 2 weeks or so that people didn't burn out. It's not the same when you're kind of all remote. So we wanted to make sure that there wasn't, our sessions weren't too long and weren't too taxing. And then we would go in at the end of our sessions and kind of prioritize what ideas were our top ideas, or what topics of interest kind of resonated with everyone. So we tried to make it fun. We used a mind mapping tool that allowed us to vote with emojis, and we can see everyone's votes kind of being populated in real time. So that kind of kept things engaging for the participants. And then we also tried to do everything on the spot. We collected insights and voted on them right then and there, rather than letting them kind of be forgotten. We used Mural, MindMeister, and Miro. So those are some of the tools that worked for us. Some lessons learned for not only ideation, but just collaboration and doing things with teams across the company. to pressure test these new tools. We know that technology can always kind of test us, and working out those glitches beforehand is really helpful. And sending out your invites and sending out the tools and the logins in advance so that others can familiarize themselves if they don't work in your particular area and your particular area of interest. We had people from R&D, we had people from visual merchandising, all over the board. So we wanted to make sure that everyone kind of understood how to use these tools. And then to prevent that fatigue and burnout, just schedule morning brainstorms. That really worked for us. Working from home can be taxing, and towards the end of the day is not always the most optimal time to brainstorm and come up with these new ideas. So we also had some shifts in concept testings. Being the front end of innovation, we test new business ideas, we test new product concepts and new service concepts, etc. So we did see an increase in surveys, and we kind of do everything ourselves. We're a lean group, so we really wanted to find a way to have these surveys and provide that service for other groups in our organization in a inexpensive, quick, and not so time-consuming way. So this was a really nice way that we were able to pressure test our ideas without investing too much early on. And we saw an increase in A/B testing during this time, and just testing out different feature sets for products, testing out branded versus unbranded to see how those ideas kind of tested with consumers at this time. And then we also added in a regular share out with our executives we didn't have previous to all being remote. And then we also integrated a new tool, which is called Pull Everywhere. We had our executives vote on our new ideas in real time while we presented them to get that feedback right away and to kind of get a gauge for what really interested the executive team during each of these share outs. So we also used AYTM, Ask Your Target Market, obviously for the concept testing, Google Sheets to kind of get a quick survey out there for people in our organization. And then, like I said, Poll Everywhere was a new tool that kind of came to fruition during this time. Some lessons learned: we really found value in testing and retesting ideas over the course of the last couple of months, testing them differently, testing them with a certain segment, adding in A/B factors, and then branded versus unbranded, and then including open-ended questions wherever we could to receive that qualitative feedback to help obviously drive to deeper insights and understand further the why behind some of the ways that our ideas tested. So those are some ways that we've really shifted the tools that we've used and adapted to being remote. And then I guess for some people, it may or may not come easy when it comes to kind of shifting online or, shifting into using all these new tools for the traditional ways that we kind of did things in the office. So some other ways that we felt that our team was prepared for kind of this curveball. We have had extensive training with AMS Applied Marketing Research in Boston. We did voice of the customer training. We had our product teams come in and sit in on ethnography training and how to kind of talk to end users. And then we've also had some help extracting and building insight statements. So that's kind of trained us and helped us kind of take all this on our own to do it ourselves during a time when that was needed. And then overall, I think having that practice, just talking to people over the course of the last couple of years, we've had hundreds of one-on-one calls with end users across the US, and just being able to practice talking to your end user and extract those insights has really helped. We've also done mock interviews with coworkers, and we built out interview guides as a team, and that's really helped us kind of adapt. And obviously taking note from design thinking and human-centered design with following those processes throughout all the work that we do, empathizing, defining the problem, and then ideating and prototyping and then testing and retesting has really worked for our team. We've also, everyone on our team has read the Lean Startup and has attended the conferences as well. So kind of having that startup culture within our innovation group has really helped us use these online tools and learn which ones work, which ones don't, and really help the company save time and money over the course of the last couple of years. We also all have a copy of the Strategizer book, so business model generation, value proposition design, testing business ideas. And that's really helped us with the different canvases that we've used, and also adapting that kind of lean outlook on how we test business ideas and develop new products and services. And then I just wanted to share a couple things that have worked for our team during this time. It's been really important to kind of share our work more than usual. We're the innovation team. We sometimes aren't as, we don't share our work as much as other teams do within the company. We work pretty quickly and efficiently, and it's been great to kind of increase our exposure during this time when you can kind of lose touch with those in the organization that you don't repeatedly have exposure to. So talking about what you're working on, and that's kind of led to people saying, hey, I can contribute to that, and it's made some connections that we wouldn't have normally connected on in the office. So that's really helped. And then stepping away from your day-to-day, we as a team started off sharing articles and podcasts. Each of us would kind of take one week on and facilitate the conversation. We most recently started a book club. We're reading The Infinite Game, and it hasn't been time consuming. It's just a half an hour every week where we talk about 5 pages, and it's not so much about reading the book. It's more so about sparking those conversations and connecting with your team, where you don't have the chance to do so, at the coffee, in the coffee room, for example. So, and then just openly having conversations about the new normal and helping each other kind of adapt. So we've watched a couple of videos on YouTube. HBR has some really great videos on how to deal with the current working environment, and just talking openly about ways that we can all kind of support each other in this time. And that's really helped for us. So in conclusion, some things that I wanted to kind of leave as a takeaway. I've read so many articles about research, insights, innovation, potentially suffering during 2020 and not really getting the most out of all of this. And I don't think that's the case. I think that if you go non-traditional with your research methods and open up to all these great online tools that there are out there, you can really maybe even achieve more than what you did before. So getting out of your comfort zone has really helped us. And then obviously staying connected with your end users. It's 100% very important. And then collaborating with those that you usually may not consult, and not letting being remote stop you from brainstorming and ideating and collaborating. I think it's still important to do so, and there's so many tools out there that can help you continue to do so. And then obviously testing and retesting all of your hypotheses and doing that A/B testing and using DIY tools so that you can do so and you can afford to do so. I think that's really helped us. And then lastly, just uniting your teams and talking openly about the new norm. I think that's really helped us as a team and helped us stay connected. And then starting conversations about, all of these new tools that we've adopted, what might we potentially keep using after things are back to normal. Some of these tools have really helped us become more and more efficient. And I think that we'll definitely continue to use them after post-pandemic. So just talking about what potentially might change going forward. And that's all for me. Thank you all for joining and engaging. Happy to answer any questions. and looking forward to connecting.
Thank you. That was an awesome presentation. It's so true that, you know, with this new world, everyone's kind of disconnected. I love the thought of making sure that you're kind of being empathetic to your team as well as your, you know, customers and those that you're running research on, and having those open conversations. I love the book club idea. We do something similar internally on our end as well. And on that, we had a question from Erica Hayden. Which strategizer books do you recommend?
We heavily used the first two books, so Business Model Generation and Value Proposition Design. We all have a copy of Testing Business Ideas as well, and I think that one's been really helpful. So I think those three have been most helpful for us. And you can find the templates online too for the canvases. So the Business Model Canvas, Value Proposition Canvas are easy to find online.
Awesome. Ray Burke says, can you talk more about the ML overlay you mentioned on the ethnography slide? How and what did you use?
We are planning to do so. So that is something, so we sat down as a team, we watched all these videos, we all had our individual notes, and we decided to look further into, you know, how we could potentially find patterns in the data and what people were saying. So that's something that we're working with AMS on, potentially implementing a tool that we can, you know, build a database out there of all of our video ethnographies, all of our phone calls, and see if that's something that might help us extract further insights. So that's something that we're in the process of doing with AMS.
Awesome. Eileen says, has the startup mentality been implemented across all teams at Behr, or is it just insights? Love it. Curious of support from senior management versus mid-level management.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I definitely think that we kind of have that mentality. Behr started off as a pretty small family company. We've grown a lot since. So I see that startup mentality in like R&D, for example, where people are just testing out different ideas with what they have, with the materials that they have. So we definitely try to push it from our innovation team. We've shared tools that startups use. We share the canvases with other teams within our company. At Ideations, we've really tried to kind of push out that mentality and kind of tout that, hey, we got all this research done and it only costed this much and it only took us a week. So we've tried to kind of push that mentality to other teams within Behr, but we're definitely trying to be the drivers within the company, and we've gotten a lot of great support from our executive team and our senior management, because it is an efficient way to kind of do business, and it's been really something that we can kind of tout as a team, that, you know, we were able to do so much in such little time with such little money. So I mean, executives love it. So
awesome. Jenny May says, can you talk more about the extracting insights training that you went through?
Sure, yeah. We worked with AMS on that as well. So going through and doing traditional ethnography with them, and then obviously going through all the video, going through all of the photos, and kind of creating an aggregation of all of our notes throughout the traditional ethnography process, and then sitting down, gathering up, or I guess parsing out themes, and then extracting insights. So we've kind of come up with a template that we use to create insight statements, and then as a team or a broader team, we'll go in and we'll vote on insights based off of what we think is, you know, new and different, unique in that situation, and what we think we could potentially generate a new product or service from. And we kind of have an insight statement template that works for our product at Behr, and that's kind of what we've been following when we come out with, you know, a bunch of research, or if we come out of an ideation, we'll kind of overlay that insight statement template and come up with insight statements, vote on those insight statements, and then pull forward product ideas from those insight statements.
Awesome. Well, are there any more questions for Shrutee? Feel free to pop them in chat, or you're welcome to also take yourself off of mute and just chime in via voice as well.
Hey, this is Jenny Mays. I just was going to ask too how large your team was. I know you mentioned smallish, but just curious what that means.
Sure. On the front end side, it's just me and my director. And on the product development side, so product management, product development, it is a team of 4. So we're in total a team of 7.
Cool, thanks.
Awesome. Any other questions for Shrutee?